It's 6:01 and we are back in Chippewa Falls. This is Up North News Radio for this Monday, August 26th. I'm Pat Kreitlow. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Nice little trip to the Democratic National Convention, and we have a few more Wisconsin voices to hear from this week. Talked to so many people out there about the issues, about, guarding against overconfidence with the Harris Walls ticket, so many other things to get to. And so we're going to hear from Scott Ross, formerly of One Wisconsin Now, Andrew Worthman from the Eau Claire City Council, who was a delegate, and talk about who you vote for president matters not just in the federal government, but it matters way down at the local government level too. And State Representative Greta Neubauer, the Assembly Democratic leader. I caught up with her as well to talk about the stakes. Kristen Lyerly, Selena Heller, meteorologist Brittany Merlot, Greg Bach, all are going to be along coming up at 6:06 across the Civic Media Radio Network and right here. We'll see you soon.
Ross, Wisconsin from Civic Media. This is Up North News Radio. Now, live from our Lake Minnesota studio, here's the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Brightlow.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Hey, damn, how'd I end up in Kansas? Oh, no, sorry. No, this is Chippewa Falls. Hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. 6:06 on this Monday, August 26th, 2024. 71 days till Election Day, and a beautiful morning to have you here. Here up north, not in Chicago anymore. Greg Bach, fortunately for us, is still in Waukesha, so the show gets on the air. Mr. Bach, good morning.
Good morning to you, Pat. You're feeling rested and recovered and cozy in Chippewa Falls now?
More or less.
Okay.
there was a lot going on last week, and I talked to so many people. We're going to hear from some more of those folks today, and probably drop in a few more throughout the course of the week here. But now we've got 10 weeks from tomorrow is the election. Donald Trump's making noise about maybe not taking part in the debate again. So, we're not going to run
do it.
We're not going to run out of things to do here. But so we'll hear from a few more folks. We're going to talk to or hear from Scott Ross, formerly of One Wisconsin Now, Andrew Worthman from the Eau Claire City Council, who was a delegate, and talk about the impact of presidential elections on local levels of government. Let's see, and we'll talk to Assembly Democratic Leader Greta Neubauer as well. So we've got a lot coming up. Kristen Lyerly, Selena Heller, and more. So what was your weekend like? Because you've been filling in for Jane Matinaire, so you too have been putting in a little extra time. So did you wind down this weekend?
I did. So Friday we didn't have a show, which was really nice. So we just hung out. We ordered some Chinese food. We watched the new movie on Peacock called The Killers. I wouldn't recommend it, but and then Saturday was, oh my goodness, Saturday is a complete blur right now. We did stuff, and then we had stuff. We went out for breakfast. My brother-in-law, it was his birthday on Saturday, so my family went out to breakfast. We had a really good time. Then we had a really fun show at the Tap, which was cool. We had a local laugh show, which is when we get Wisconsin comedians together. And then yesterday we went to South Bend, Indiana for the day to visit my wife's aunt. So we actually drove through Chicago, and the residue of the DNC was still there. Like there were still billboards and the
residue.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it works after a party. There's basically you saw the equivalent of some red Solo cups lying around.
Yeah, exactly.
And saying,
I'm going to clean this up? Oh, you guys all left? Okay, I'll just clean this up. That's fine.
Right. Fine. But you wrote your names on the cups. I know who you are, Jane. Yeah. So, no, whoever. Anyway, I left Chicago Friday morning right after the show, and I took the brand new Amtrak Borealis, the new line that runs during the daytime hours between Chicago and St. Paul. And I took it from Chicago to La Crosse, where Sherry met me, and then we went out with friends in La Crosse late on Friday. That train was sold out. Almost every run of the Borealis has been sold out. I love that train. And I don't mean to start, a Monday in a week with some naughty words, but there aren't enough bad words that can be pointed at Scott Walker and others who killed the opportunity to benefit from increasing rail traffic and getting cars off the freeways. Yep. I was able to sit in a seat that was way better than your typical airline seat, and unlike a car seat, could get all kinds of work done when I wanted to, or could just close my eyes when I wanted to. You're not supposed to do either one of those things when driving a car. Last I checked,
Wait, what?
Yeah,
what?
Well, I know. And especially, the construction zones and everything else. It was fantastic, and I can't wait to do it again. And I cannot again recommend highly enough the ability to take a train. If you are from anywhere from Wisconsin Dells on north, and you've got something in the Chicago area or other places, but say you just want to do the museums and the aquarium, or you've got a business thing down there, then go to Toma or go to Portage or go to Columbus or go to the Dells or go to La Crosse and get on the train there. And you will to not have to deal with Chicago traffic. Oh, that was so nice. So,
those conversations I had with people post the killing of high speed rail,
Mhm.
they celebrated so hard because they had no idea. They're like, yeah, we don't want to be taxed. They're like, that's not how that worked. It wasn't your tax. This was all money set aside. And then when you broke it down for the individuals, like, we lost the train, which would have created jobs building the train, which would have created businesses by the train stations, which would have created, like, you just go down the line and you feel
so
you
many
see their
layers.
faces.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you're like,
Oh.
yeah. And that money didn't go away. It didn't go poof, gone. It went to other states. Other states got that money. So,
And Wisconsin will at some point have to play catch up. And guess what? It'll cost more when it does. But that's, that's the thing that folks need to keep in mind when you have these railroad discussions that, again, just didn't get the thing. Let's see. Scott and Madison says, Pat, don't forget the facts. I believe we spent like $63 million to save $3 million a year. I don't know. I'd like to, again, explore your point, Greg, of following the money and the benefits that would have come from it. And unfortunately, we're not going to get a chance to do that for a little while here. If you'd like to reach the show, 855-75-CIVIC. Again, 855-75-CIVIC is the number to reach us. You can call or you can text. You can also put up a comment on Facebook or YouTube if you're watching us there. If you'd like to email the show, it's radio@upnorthnewswi.com. And don't forget, you can also sign up for our daily newsletter at Up North News. Up North News is a separate entity from Civic Media, but we love partnering with them on these weekday mornings. And you can sign up for our newsletter at upnorthnewswi.com. And Greg, in the newsletter today, I did not realize till I saw it in this morning's newsletter, today is National Dog Day. So,
Pat, did you know I have a dog? I have a dog.
You have? I have heard this. I've heard that there is a dog. Yes.
Her name is PayPal.
Yeah. So, yeah, coming back to the train comment, I'm still kind of rolling that in my head. Spending 63 is to save 3 million. I'm not sure where that all came from, Greg. I don't know if you've been running the numbers over there.
No, I mean, if this reads as a dig at the train, I think.
Yeah.
And all I have to say to this is, if you look at the beginning numbers, it has been an overwhelming success so far.
Yes.
And you have to invest to make and to save. This, if it was $63 million, which if you're giving me the correct number, that's fine. This train will eventually do its job, and it will provide transportation, and it will do that whole thing. Like, well, we spent all this money. Well, yeah, we have to spend money to save money, to make money. Those things need to happen. We can't just sit there going, well, we can't spend the money, or that's not a viable solution.
We're actually going to get into that in the next hour on a different front as well, when Selena Heller joins us to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act and the many ways that homeowners, businesses, school districts, and local units of government, the Inflation Reduction Act is providing that funding up front. I mean, everybody knows that they could do some kind of a home project and save money on their utility bills, but they don't have the cash up front. If it's let's say it's a $10,000 project, but then you're saving on your bills and you've increased the value of your house, there'd be a lot of benefits, but it's tough to come up with the money for that project. The Inflation Reduction Act helps front load that. And so you have, like, we're going to talk today about school districts like in Black River Falls that have known for the longest time, they've known the payback window, that if we had the money, we'd make up that money and more. The Inflation Reduction Act provides them with the funds. And so now you're seeing solar panels go up on schools. It's pretty simple math, actually, when you think about it. So whatever concept we might be talking about, whether it's trains, solar panels, and more. Looks Donald Trump is planning to come back to La Crosse, come back to Wisconsin, and is going to do, it says here, a town hall visit. Let's see. In La Crosse on Thursday. It'll be his first Wisconsin trip since he accepted the Republican nomination in Milwaukee last month. And it says Trump will meet with voters to listen to their concerns and share his promising agenda to make America affordable again. He'll be at the La Crosse Center at about 6 p.m. on Thursday. Okay, I'm sorry. He's going to meet with voters and listen to their concerns.
Since when?
I'm quite serious. You please point me to the last time he sat quietly and listened to voters' concerns. That's all I'm saying.
The
Just point
notion of him sitting there just with that look on his face, like,
yeah.
Just so you know, Pat, we got a clarification from Scott and Madison on the train comment.
Okay.
He said, sorry, we spent $63 million to kill the train deal that would have cost us $3 million supposedly to upkeep a year. So
yes. That makes more sense in a comment that I was expecting there. That Walker used the $3 million annual cost to kill it, and of course, killing it cost us $63 million. So again, good work out of Scott Walker. So yeah, I'm looking forward to how this plays out with Trump. I would urge everybody on Thursday night to at least dip into it for a moment. And let's see if that's what really happens. And it's not gonna. Okay.
Please take video. I need to see this.
Yeah, because again, he's had his handlers, his team, his minions saying for weeks, months now, to focus on issues. Don't do the insults. Actually listen to people. Let's see if he can pull it off in lacrosse. It could happen. All right, to the Brewers now at 6:18. They did take the series in Oakland, perhaps their final season, their final visit ever to the Oakland Coliseum, but they lost on Sunday, 4-3. It was the Brewers' 184th and apparently final game. The A's will vacate after this season for Sacramento and ultimately for Las Vegas. And I'm just couching it because this whole thing with Oakland and with Vegas, the whole thing just never has struck me as, oh yeah, this is a done deal. This is definitely happening. The whole thing just feels very tentative, like anything could happen yet. So it also, probably was the Brewers' last game, but I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so the Brewers still lead the division by 10, 11 games, something like that. They're off today, back home for a very short 3-game homestand with the San Francisco Giants starting tomorrow. Back with more after this. We're Up North. Sting is not in today's history lesson. The guy playing the sax there, Benford Marsalis, is, and we'll explain why coming up in just a little bit here on Up North News Radio at 6:20 on this Monday morning. I got to hit one more sports note with Greg here before we get back to some of the day's news. This is going to be a really fun statistical anomaly that happens in a baseball game today for Boston Red Sox catcher Danny Jansen. Because, he's the Boston catcher now. He had been the catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays when they played Boston on June 26th. But the game was suspended because of rain, and it's going to be made up today. In the meantime, Danny Jansen had been traded to Boston. He was the batter when the game was suspended. He's now been traded, so he can't be the batter for Toronto. He instead is going to be the catcher for Boston for his at bat. So there will be a pinch hitter for him, picking up the count. What was the count? Something like it was like a 2-1 count or something like that. So this will be the first time, not only that a guy has played for two teams in the same game, he's playing for two teams in the same at bat. So it's like he was the hitter for the first couple of pitches and then said, nope, I'm playing for the other team. Now I'm the catcher. Look, if you're not into it, I get it. I find that just crazy and fun.
For those who don't know baseball, and like everyone knows baseball, but like baseball is, it will wash in statistics. Like you could just, like today marks the first time since 1932 on a Thursday that a 2-7,
right?
Like they just have those inane facts. And I think that not only is a first, but good luck breaking that one.
Yeah. It's impossible. It was an 0-1 count, which I think is funny. It's like they let this batter come up, and it was with one strike that they're like, okay, that's where we're going to draw the line. We're going to suspend the game. But it is, and as Tony writes from Ashland, that is absolutely bananas and one of the coolest things to happen in baseball. And so I appreciated that and just wanted to
Thank you for sharing that, Pat.
Thank you. I like to share little baseball things where I can. Just catching up on some of the other headlines that we weren't able to get to during the convention. And one that caught my eye was by Bruce Murphy in urban Milwaukee. And it was about Menards and how the Environmental Protection Agency has ordered Menards to immediately stop the sale and distribution of unregistered pesticides. Menards was selling two products online treated with unregistered pesticides and wrongly claimed that these products could or should be used against COVID-19. It was, Murphy writes, only the most recent controversy of how the 350-store chain based in Eau Claire has handled the pandemic and its aftermath. Early on in the pandemic, Michigan's Attorney General accused Menards of price gouging on products in high demand. And there have been other instances where, Menards, again, being a big chain, but sometimes has taken shortcuts, shall we say, that people had legal issues with. For example, the big one is from 1997, when I was working at the TV station here in Eau Claire, and we were told that there was going to be a John Doe hearing at the Eau Claire County Courthouse. Can't tell you anything more. Starts at 10 a.m. or whatever it was. So we're all there, and in walks John Menard, and it's part of a settlement because the guy was using his own pickup truck to haul garbage bags filled with arsenic-laden wood ash to his home to dispose of in his household garbage, rather than have Menards properly dispose of it. All of this means very little for a guy whose net worth is now $25 billion. He is the 79th richest person in the world, but I thought it would be at least noteworthy to call attention to it. Because again, we're nothing if we can't expect corporations of any size, of any political stripe, to play by the rules and not play fast and loose with our environment. Over the weekend as well, you had Robert Kennedy Jr. dropping out of the presidential race and endorsing Donald Trump, which, of course, makes no sense for many folks, especially those in the Kennedy family, who have quickly come out and said, no, we're not backing. He's part of our family, but no, thank you. And they've said so in some using some very sharp words. His sister Carrie Kennedy and 4 other family members put out a statement that said, our brother Bobby's decision to endorse Trump is a betrayal of the values that our father and our family hold most dear. It is a sad ending to a sad story. And other family members have had similar things to say about it. Now, I haven't wanted to say much about Robert Kennedy Jr. He has said and done so many, here's the word of the year, but it's true, weird things, that it's hard for me to believe that somebody would take it seriously. But he's got that Kennedy name. I mean, for example, there is a far-right Republican United States Senator in Louisiana by the name of John Kennedy. And you're kidding yourself if you don't think at least a few people voted for him going, oh, yeah, John Kennedy must be one of those Kennedys. He must be a good guy. I'm going to vote for him. RFK does not deserve anything in terms of the legacy of the family name. Everything about his positions, most notably his hostility to the miracle that is vaccinations, but also plenty of other things, not the least of which are the dead bear incident in Central Park, the brain worms, whatever. But then to take what he thinks is some kind of a notion of public service and put that behind Donald Trump, who, as we made clear in our last segment, has not for a moment in his life been about public service, should tell you all you need to know. But there's one other point that I think bears mentioning. And it was best summed up in this particular social media post where somebody said this: the fact that third parties only ever run for president every 4 years instead of actually trying to build a coalition or power at the local and state level should make it pretty obvious that it's a grift. And it is. I mean, you can call it an independent campaign if you want, any of these that pop up, but don't call it a third party. And at this moment, until I see otherwise, I'm talking about, people go, well, what about the Green Party? Well, the Green Party gets on ballots and everything, but is there a Chippewa County Green Party? Is there, insert party name here? Is there anything at the local level? Are they trying to get legislators elected? Are they trying to get, win a county executive election? Are they trying to build up local power? No. They're only doing it every 4 years from a national standpoint, where they're asking people for money, and then they're making a difference in an election that they know they can't win. And increasingly, as has become clear with the Cornell West case here, it's completely politically motivated, where this far left candidate is being funded by far right groups to basically be a spoiler to benefit Donald Trump. So when you hear third party, just think grift. We'll be back with more after this. You're Up North.
All the angels, all the devils, all around us, can't you see?
Well, hello there.
Well, good morning. How are you?
Fine. I'm not hearing your headset mic, though.
Mm,
It's time to play
How about
Adjust Those Settings
Am I good now?
There you are. Now you're perfect.
Hey,
Yay.
turns out when I
Good
Say
morning.
hi to
little
Greg. I'm going to get some
switch.
hot coffee.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. I still have
Okay,
this.
there it is.
I know. I've had
Mhm.
this cold for 2 weeks. It is not COVID. It is just a stupid summer cold, and
Yeah.
it's been a real hassle.
All right. Well, what are you doing about it? You
You know,
tea and rest and not talking a lot and resting your voice.
I'm running for Congress. There's just not, like I gotta go.
There are some moments where you can just be like, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm just gonna be
I'm
quiet.
not singing. I haven't really done any singing in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, you're prescribed not to sing until after the election.
But that hurts my heart because I love to sing and it makes me feel good.
Then can I suggest humming?
Oh, you are not the first person, and that is a wise suggestion.
There it is.
Mhm.
I
Brilliant.
did download that little video you sent me, so I have it here.
Yeah.
If you want it later, just put it
Yeah.
on. No, we're not talking about Pat. What?
Hi.
Hi. Monday. Monday. Monday.
Monday.
Come on, headphones work.
Uh-huh. Nice. Yes, that would be wonderful, Greg.
Okay, great. You
Thank
just let me
you.
know and I will play it.
I'm sure that it will be very well received by a number of different parties. How's your solo gig on your new Matinee on Air featuring Greg Bach show?
It's going well so far. Last week was pretty easy, and as much as a lot of DNC talk.
Mhm.
So this week we're getting ramped up, and I've got Angela Lang on today, who will be my co-host all morning. So it's been great. She's going to do 2 shows today and then next week. And I got a bunch of great guests lined up, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited, and I want to send all the thanks to Jane for trusting me to do this. So
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course.
She's amazing.
she is. I hope she's completely and totally vacationing.
But if she is listening, good morning, Jane.
Yeah,
She
hi.
better not be. She better be just not. Just rest and relax.
My campaign manager said to me yesterday, I know that this is really extravagant, but I'm already starting to think about what kind of a vacation I'm going to take when this is over. And I was like, no, sister. I think we're all thinking about that.
Oh,
Like we're ticking down the days.
You always have to have, something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Anticipation. That's half the fun.
Although this campaign is so much fun that we're all looking forward to Election Day.
Here we go.
And soon both of us learn to trust, not run away. There was no time to play. We build it up and build it up and build it up, and now it's solid. Solid as a rock.
We will be saying happy birthday to Valerie Simpson of Ashford and Simpson in today's history lesson, 15 minutes away. But first off, the Simpson to my Ashford, that would be Kristen Lyerly, who joins us now on this nice Monday morning, who I haven't talked to since I saw you at the convention. Good morning. How are you?
Solid as a rock.
There
How
you
are you?
go. Good. Getting back into the swing of things here. Hey, you changed your plan a little bit.
Yeah.
When you talked about the Chicago convention and it's just going to be a quick down and back, blah blah blah. Next thing you know, you're there on the convention floor on Thursday night, sending a photo for the big gig.
I wasn't on the floor.
You were in the building.
I was in the building.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to our dear friend Deb McGrath out in Menominee, who saved me a seat, and it was wonderful company. And when I spilled mustard on my white dress,
Oh no!
busted out the stain process to save my brand new white dress that I just bought that day. She went full mom, which was much appreciated. We had so much fun. the energy, the spirit, just being there with all of those like-minded folks, it just felt so good.
Hmm. I understand that I might have a little signal problem here, so if I'm freezing up, you just let me know when I'm back. But I'm getting the thumbs up, so I can. As I'm going through all the interviews that I did at the convention, I mean, they either start with energy or enthusiasm or both. And so my interviews actually turned toward guarding against overconfidence and guarding against complacency. But I should have actually just told them all to call you, because you're running in a district that is, leans heavily Republican. But as I heard you in numerous interviews, you still think is very winnable. Otherwise, why would you be in? I mean, you even pointed out the methodology of when they say it's an R plus whatever district, that it's kind of a faulty, or it's an incomplete measure of a district's partisan support, right?
Well, the methodology is flawed. So what Cook uses is they look at the last couple of presidential elections and how those congressional races fared. Here in Northeast Wisconsin, we had Mike Gallagher here, and he at that time was very, very popular with Republicans, Democrats, Independents. People just really liked Mike Gallagher. He didn't ever have an opponent who was well supported or well liked. So he rolled over every opponent in the last couple of elections. It looks like a red district from that perspective. But when you consider what's happened to Mike Gallagher since then, how he has been essentially outed by the Republican Party, he vacated his seat. There's no one in this seat right now. It's not just open, it's vacated. So that's a huge game changer. And the state maps are a huge game changer. Currently in the 8th Congressional District, we only have 2 Democrats representing this whole region, the 3rd largest population center in the state. What the difference that it makes to have candidates running in every single assembly district and every single Senate district. Last cycle, a third of those districts went totally unchallenged. Now these candidates are out knocking doors that haven't been knocked in a decade. And the people in places like New London and Oconto are loving it.
Well, and again, the whole dynamic has changed. I mean, Kamala Harris has raised $82 million since the convention and has now crossed the $500 million threshold. And by the way, that cuts both ways. I can tell you there's too much money in politics. We shouldn't have presidential campaigns that cost approaching $1 billion. But they do. And so when they do, you got to take note when somebody has raised that much money in that short a time. And not just the money, the volunteers as well, as you well know. I mean, every donation is nice, but as others have said, the money doesn't work as well if you don't have an infrastructure to put volunteers to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need it all. And that's exactly what we're seeing with my campaign. And I know with many others, people just want to be part of it and they do what they can. So if it's donating money, then great. That's fantastic. If it's coming up to knock doors, one of my friends who lives in Chicago was in Milwaukee over the weekend knocking doors. I have a friend from Tennessee who's going to be writing postcards for us. And her motivation is she's a high-risk pregnancy doctor who can't take care of her patients. She needs national protections for abortion and reproductive rights. So everybody's got a role to play here. You just have to figure out, what is my role? Is it having conversations with my neighbors? Is it donating money? Is it phone banking? There's a place for everybody. Just figure out where you want to make a difference and insert yourself.
I think that's something I really got from some of the delegates who are already like leaders in their hometowns, things like that, is that, I mean, obviously they're already in the choir. It's all about reaching out to other people. The Democrats had a great energetic convention. Good for them. But there's still, believe it or not, there are still many voters out there that could go either way on a candidate, or could go either way in terms of staying home or voting. Because again, even if it was 70% turnout, which is a good presidential year, that's still 3 out of 10 people making the choice to stay home. Those are people who deserve messages from volunteers and things like that.
Yeah, there are unbelievably. I mean, you would think because we're in the thick of it, we're always paying attention. So you would think everybody has decided, but they're not.
Mhm.
So the more conversations we can have and the more we can help people understand where the solutions are to the problems that they clearly have. People are struggling right now. When you look at what people are doing to try to put food on their table and pay for their healthcare costs, it is really hard to live. And young people are especially struggling because they are not seeing a future that is welcoming for them. So the more we can do, the more we can work together and find that those issues where we can make a difference, that's how we're going to create that bright future, not by fostering fear and division, but by creating that community.
Greg, because I've been working both on radio segments and making up videos for Up North News, you might have to actually help Grandpa remember something here. I interviewed a 16-year-old whose grandfather from St. Croix County was a delegate, and invited her to come down as a guest. And she talked about just how energetic, she and all of her friends are about Kamala Harris's candidacy, as opposed to before that they felt completely unplugged. They had no interest in following the campaign whatsoever. I don't believe we've played her segment on the radio yet, right?
I don't know. That does not sound familiar. No.
I'm going to save, like I said, I'm going to be dropping in some of these voices throughout the course of the week. But it's just to bring it back to you, Kristen, that young folks are. Not the cliche of coming out of the woodwork, but they're definitely more interested than there were a month ago.
They're so excited. I just got a reach out from one of my colleagues whose daughter, who's I think 10, wants to be involved. She wants to be part of the Kamala campaign. Mm-hmm. Another friend of mine, their family sat around last weekend and made friendship bracelets with Kamala's name on them. Like, it is something that they can do, and they're selling them for $5. And they're going to send all of that money to the campaign. Nice. There is something that everybody can do. And young people are so enthusiastic because they, for the first time, are seeing a future.
I know that what we did have was Jason Ray, who was the convention secretary during that crazy roll call last Tuesday. He's a Rice Lake native.
So good.
And he started volunteering as a teen with his local party. We're going to hear from Mike Tate this week, former state Democratic Party chair. He too started volunteering as a teen. I, as a like a 13-year-old, was volunteering, at our local party, because people see in that a way to, even at their age, do something to make the world a little bit better.
Yeah, maybe you can't vote, but you can definitely be active. Henry Paulo was one of the, I don't know if you got to interview Henry, but he was one of the delegates, former high school Democrat, friend of one of my boys. Yana Zanevsky up here in the Green Bay area, same situation. We've got high school Democrats organizing in Wisconsin in places like Denmark and Green Bay, all over the state. Eran Shalev down in Madison is doing a fantastic job of organizing these folks. The enthusiasm is high with young people, and to be able to foster and channel that in a positive way, to mentor and teach these people how to be problem solvers while still being themselves, not indoctrinating them, but encouraging them to pursue the topics that they're interested in and working together, teaching them, helping them learn those skills. What an incredible group of leaders we've got on the horizon.
Oh, without a doubt. Dr. Kristen Larley was with us. We're going to have you put on your doctor hat for a moment. Right after I go check the mailbag here. Alicia writes about Henry. He is such an awesome young man. And Mary writes in, hello from Wanakee and happy Monday. So thank you, Mary, for writing in as well. Kristen, put your doctor hat on for a second here, because we are expecting triple-digit heat index readings in many parts of the state today. Going to reach 95 degrees in many parts of the state today. And not just from a physician standpoint, but including an OBGYN, because the person that I'm related to by marriage happened to be pregnant during the summers of 88 and 90, two of the hottest damn summers to be pregnant. What are you telling your ladies to get through weeks like this week?
Oh, yeah. Avoid the heat. I mean, stay inside when you can, or stay in the shade. Hydrate. That is one of the most important things you can do. And as we age, we lose that sensor that we need to drink. So we forget to hydrate. I say as Pat takes a big swig of coffee. Coffee doesn't count. It needs to be water. It can't be soda. Water is the best thing to hydrate you. But if you're going to be outside, if you're sweating, you definitely need to keep up on your water. So take a bottle of water with you. Throw a few ice cubes in there if you can. That'll cool you down a little bit too. Hydration, avoiding the heat. If you're going to do anything vigorous, do it early in the morning or in the evening when it's a little bit cooler if you have that option. And make sure you take plenty of breaks.
I'm really glad to hear you say the part about forgetting as we get older, because I can't tell you how many times this summer either Sherry or I have said, I just completely forgot. Why am I so dry? I'm like, oh, I didn't really have any water today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, your body feels it immediately when you start like the times when I haven't had water until like later in the afternoon or the evening. I'm like, oh, my body just feels a little bit better now. And from the point of view of what you're saying, Dr. Lyerly, about doing things outside, I made a huge mistake a couple weeks ago when it was really, really hot and I mowed my lawn and it knocked me out. Like I had to come in for a break and then I did the backyard and I came in and after I was done, I was sitting at the kitchen table for about 40 minutes trying to recover. Like I was just
Wait,
wasted.
Are you channeling Rob from Tigerton? Did you switch places with him all of a sudden? Remember we were telling him to hydrate while mowing the lawns.
Do never insult Rob.
Physician, heal thyself. You go drink some water too. All of you drink your water. It's supposed to be good for you. It's supposed to be.
I love water. I think water's amazing. I don't understand people like, I have to have flavor. I'm like, no, you don't. It's water.
Yes, it's water, and it's perfectly good. On an earlier topic, Alicia Saunders writes in, I moved my son to Milwaukee last week. Boy, would I have loved a train to go from the Fox Valley to Milwaukee. I was raving about taking the Borealis from Chicago to La Crosse. Kristen, you know what a difference a train corridor would make from Green Bay through Milwaukee down to Chicago.
My kids talk about this all the time. They would absolutely love it, and so would I. I mean, think about how it would reduce traffic on the roads. And you know where I would love to see a train? Between Green Bay and the Fox Valley. Highway 41 and Highway 43, ridiculous amounts of traffic. 41, there's nothing there. It's flat. It's country. There's nothing there, but so many accidents because of the volume of traffic, and people are in such a rush. If we had a train to just shuttle people back and forth, it would make a huge difference, and the environmental impact would be fantastic.
Well, I mean, or you could add a fourth lane and then a fifth lane.
That's what we're doing.
Sixth lane.
That's what we're doing.
I know, and it just isn't making it's not working, kids. There's at some point it's just silly, when you could have for that money have built something that runs much more efficiently, is much cleaner. And again, would allow that productivity of being able to work or to relax while you're on the train. So needless to say, a lot of things that can happen if we make some changes come November. We'll pause here, and when we come back, we will have today's history lesson. And in a little bit, Selena Heller from UpNorthNews, she'll join us for our history lesson, and then later she'll tell us more about school districts making big solar updates thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act. You're Up North.
Take a chance. So against all odds, we made a start.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I see I shamed you into getting your work done at 10:30 instead of 2:30.
Exactly.
Okay.
What do we have today for the sandwiches you have here? Oh yeah, today might be the day. We're rounding the end of the month. I might say today.
Today is the day. This is the best chance you're going to get.
They're gonna be so mad at me.
Oh, look at this hot take approaching.
Yeah. Nothing but the hottest of takes. I've got the hottest ticks.
So I was supposed to do an interview on Friday with a lady for the hospital bill about not closing down, and because she was going to give birth at Sacred Heart.
Oh yeah, her. Yeah.
Well, she went into labor. So.
Oh well. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pat Kreitlow's Karaoke Hour. It's going to start with Looking Glass's Brandy, which hit number 1 this day in 1972. Welcome to today's history lesson. Selena Heller joins us now from Up North News. Miss Heller, how are you?
Good morning. I'm good. It's a hot day coming up.
Oh my good! Oh, I taking the trash cans out this morning, and I was like a goldfish. It was so thick out there. I was like, where's the air? It's nothing but water out here. It's a little humid.
Gotta water the plants, though. I gotta remember to do that today.
Yes. Yep. Happy anniversary, women who would like to vote. The 19th Amendment took effect.
Women who would like to vote?
Yes. The rest of you who would like to repeal that right, no happy anniversary to you. Okay.
Hey, a big anniversary to you lady voters out there. Good job.
Yeah. There's just something about a 6-year-old man going, ladies. So no. Happy anniversary, ladies. The 19th Amendment took effect this day in 1920. On this day in 1935, Geraldine Ferraro, who was the running mate for Walter Mondale, first woman to be a running mate on a major ticket, was born. She passed away back in 2011. The late Leon Redbone was born this day in 1949. You get to hear him every year at the holidays. In this case, with Zooey Deschanel from the movie Elf.
I really can't
But baby, it's cold.
Now people are like, "Oh yeah, that guy, that voice." Yes.
It's cold outside.
This evening has
Hoping that
been.
you
She doesn't have bangs anymore. It's weird.
I know.
She doesn't look like yourself anymore.
Nope. No, trust me, none of us do. I've got the pictures to prove it.
Fair point.
No, Valerie Simpson, we mentioned, is 78 today. Branford Marsalis is 64. Mother Teresa was born this day in 1910. And then this is an important birthday. Katherine Johnson. She was born this day in 1918. I've seen lots of clips, but I've never actually seen the movie or read the book Hidden Figures. Kristen or Selena, you have?
No.
Seen the movie.
She's the physician and mathematician profiled in the book and the movie, the Oscar-nominated film from 2016, who did did much of the math for early NASA flights with trajectory and things like that. She was awarded the National Medal of Freedom by President Obama in 2015, and then she passed away in 2020 at the age of 101. But she was born on this day 106 years ago. Shirley Manson of Garbage is
Love her.
58 years old today.
Don't believe in anything. You can't break. Stupid girl. You stupid girl.
Sometimes you just want to let the song play, you know?
Yeah.
Just listen-
You know,
just
that's a
listen to
Madison band.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yep. Oh yeah. We've spoken at length about them seeing Shirley on a UK TV show of some sort and saying, "Get out of Scotland, girl. Get to Madison." And
Love it.
the rest is history. Melissa McCarthy is 54 years old today. Comedian John Mulaney is 42. Keke Palmer is 31. Now, you're not going to believe these birthdays. These two were born the same day. Okay. Chris Pine, the actor, is 44. He's the same age, born the same day as Macaulay Culkin, who is 44 today.
Oh.
I would say they peaked at different times in their Hollywood career as Greg makes the face with the hands on the cheeks. 44 years old today. Seal had the number 1 song this day in 1995.
Sing it, everyone.
From the movie Batman Forever, number 1 song this day, 1995. I think rates really low on the whole list of Batman movies. That was one with Val Kilmer and Nicole Kidman.
Correct.
And Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey.
Yes.
I'm going to say I haven't seen them all, haven't seen all the Batman movies. That one probably still is my favorite one of the ones that I've seen. So
The thing
Is
that's
it the
really good
music?
about that one, I find fun, is that the second one, Batman Returns, is so bleak in its color palette. It's like gray, blue, black, and white.
Yeah.
This one is just full of color and fun.
yes, Yeah.
helps.
hmm And, Jim Carrey making a good villain in that
Oh
one.
yeah.
Let's see. On this day in 1978, the Papal Conclave elected Albino Luciani. He took the name Pope John Paul I. That happened this day in 1978. On this day in 2009, kidnapping victim J.C. Duggard was discovered alive in California after being missing for 18 years. The number one song this day in 1967 was by Bobby Gentry.
It was the 3rd of June, another sleepy, dusty Delta day.
How come we didn't get more songs from Bobby Gentry?
Because she
I
disappeared.
was out chopping
She
cotton
like
and
did
my
she did this
brother was
album.
baling
She
hay.
basically retired. Like she's done things here and there, but she's like a successful businesswoman now. And
I
they
love the
teach
fact that you
classes
actually
on
had the
it.
answer. That he had the answer ready to go,
Oh, yeah.
just like that. Man's like a little encyclopedia.
Yes.
Roger
Cocaine
rem-
Monsters.
Roger
that?
reminds us that Leon Redbone sang the theme to Mr. Belvedere, the Bob
Yep.
Uecker show. Loved that. I should have played that instead. Frankie Valli's Grease, the title track to the blockbuster film, was the number one song this day in 1978. And finally, we'll conclude with 1972, the Nilsson song that peaked at number 8 on this day in 1972.
Brother bought a coconut, he bought it for the dime. His sister had another one, she paid it for the lime. She put the lime in the coconut, she drank them.
Song is 52 years old, and you still some kid will hear it and still start singing it. It's just irresistible if you're a kid.
It gets in your head.
It does.
Peaked at number 8.
Yep.
Who would have thought?
Oh yeah, I remember. I heard it on the radio all the time back then. So I suppose I suppose you probably didn't get teased much, like doctor, and they'd sing it to you.
Yeah.
No, never mind. It's just me. I'm old. Today is National Dog Day. Congratulations, all you people who want to like dogs. And I'd pick up on that 19th Amendment thing again. This is Women's Equality Day. This is Cherry Popsicle Day. And Greg, 30 seconds to give me your hot take on National Sandwich Month.
Oh, no. Yeah, BLTs. Not only do I not like them, I think they're a waste of time, a waste of money, and they're an anti-sandwich, and I hate them. And people who like them, I'll never understand it. You can't be satiated by a BLT. It's garbage.
I like
Whoa.
Oh.
Straight
like
hot garbage.
All right. Well, with that, we bid adieu to National Sandwich Month. We're just going to cut it off early right there with that kind of a take and pick it up on the other side of the news here on Up North News Radio for this Monday morning on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Holy cow.
Doctor.
I like BLTs.
I love BLTs. We're actually having them for dinner tonight.
I want hearty bacon though. I don't want flimsy bacon. I
Yes.
want like
Or
new
a lot.
You just
Ooh.
eat a salad with croutons on it. You might as well. Just all you're doing.
Jeez.
Ridiculous.
That was a hot take.
That
Indeed.
was a lot of
hmm So
aggression.
this was the one I put some down that I usually don't have time for. 2 years ago today, after Jason Aldean's wife Brittany posts a makeup video on Instagram with the caption, "I'd really like to thank my parents for not changing my gender when I went through my tomboy phase." Marin Morris flamed her with a tweet writing, "Zip it, insurrection Barbie." And the feud raised tensions between conservative members of the country music community and those with more progressive views like Marin Morris.
Yeah.
Fight, 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 fight.
Jason and Brittany just makes. Oh God.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people got so mad about that song. Really? Are you dumb? You're dumb then. You're just.
I mean, did they intentionally film the video at a courthouse where lynching occurred?
Who's to say? I don't know.
Well, maybe they didn't know, and then when someone informed it, they said like, "Oh, that was a mistake." Instead, they were like, "Well, who cares?" Like that's the thing. Is like, I understand them not understanding history. We're Americans; we don't get taught history very well. But when you're informed after the fact, they can be like, "Hey, our bad, not very cool. Sorry about that. We'll do better on that front. I'm not going to change my beliefs on certain things, but that was a screw up." But no, they were like, "Deal with it, libs."
Yeah, the
Yeah.
doubling down on ugliness. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, like there's
Well,
no
JD
holding
Vance
people.
JD Vance did it yesterday again with the childless cat ladies. He's like, "Oh, I was just being sarcastic." No. You said it over and over again.
No.
Speaking of
And also,
JD Vance, let's
yeah.
get some donuts in this house.
What?
sorry?
Donut shop.
Oh,
Yeah. He
Oh,
just can't, like, while
awkward.
Well, Pat, you refer to Eric Hovde as professional rake stepper, which is one of the greatest monikers ever. JD Vance is just robot boy who just can't become human. That's just what he
you
is.
just can't. No, I know.
Yeah. And honestly,
Oh.
it's because,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's because JD Vance has something inside him. Like he has a personality, a person he wants to be, but he's terrified of being it. And people will show pictures of him from being younger, like dressing up for holiday. And it's like, I think he's like deep down, he just wants to be a cool, laid back guy. But because he wants to be popular and loved, this is his only avenue. So he can't express those feelings. So he's trying so hard to be something else that he's clearly not.
I would, yeah, I would call that a charitable interpretation of his book. If you read, I don't know if you read the book, but you come away from it with basically kind of that feeling. Although I wouldn't have put it that gently, but yeah, that's. I think you're spot on with that.
Oh,
Did you see?
I keep it nice for the live stream.
Oh, good. Did you see? Eric Hovde's got some new ads out where they're kind of showing the softer side of Eric about how once he was diagnosed with MS, he decided to build houses for children in Africa or something like that. I'm like, I don't know that I'm connecting the dots there quite as well as you are there, Eric. I mean, I'm not going to cast aspersions, but I'm not really sure I'm with you on it. So
yeah, I mean,
but you can tell somebody got to him and said, "Stop trying to be the tough cowboy pew, 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 with the mustache guy, being all sarcastic and jumping in icy lakes. How about if you just talk softly and say things that you care about?"
But John Oliver roasted him pretty hard.
That's what I was getting at. Was that was probably after, because I didn't watch the John Oliver from 8 days ago now until yesterday afternoon, and we watched that. And we're like, oh, I wish I'd have known that last week. We would have played clips from that.
Well, I was doing a small town parade yesterday, and a fan enthusiastically ran off the sidelines to shake my hand, and he said, "We're voting for you." And I said, "Amazing." And he said, "I hate that Hovde guy." And I said, "Fantastic. Let's do this."
If you go to New London, Dr. Lyerly, and you happen to come across the door of Charlie Bach, he's my uncle, so say hi.
You got it.
I'm sure you'll remember.
Does he look like you? So she can kind of.
No, he looks nothing like me. He's a much more handsome man. I don't know how he votes, honestly. We never talk politics, but he just seems the type of person who would love you.
Aww.
Yeah.
I'm going to go knock his door intentionally.
He'd probably be like, he's like, "I've met Tony Weed. He's a weird fella, but I like your pizzazz."
Pizzazz. He's got a lot of pizzazz.
Yeah, well, Alicia said she knocked on a door, talked to a voter who didn't get the connection with the Hovde ad either. Yeah, it was just, it just seemed a little.
It's just not
scattershot.
connecting.
Yeah,
he doesn't talk about policies. He doesn't talk about, you know, he says the same three things about Tammy Baldwin. I mean, there's an ad running right now on Peacock where it's Tammy Baldwin's letting crime come across the border, drugs in the border, be afraid of border people. And then 2 commercials down, it's 2 law enforcement officers, like sheriffs and higher ups, endorsing Tammy Baldwin, saying, yeah, she's voted for like the stronger borders like 34 times and given all this money and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he's true. Hi, Brittany.
Good morning.
Speaking of someone I'd vote for, it's Brittany Merlot.
There we go. What'd you do this weekend?
What did I do? I went to the Dells, and then I went stand-up paddleboarding yesterday. What about you guys?
Where did you stand up paddleboard?
Just Lake Dubay down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Selena didn't ask what you did.
Oh, I cleaned, but I went to the Dells the weekend before. So the week before, yeah. So lots of Dells. A lot of people are going to the Dells as a last-minute kind of summer ending. I see.
Hey, if you can get a decent price on a place down there, then yeah, absolutely. So Tony writes, you were in the Dells too? Okay. Apparently everybody went.
We were all in the Dells.
I didn't get the note.
You know who else was? The farmer. Goodbye.
Oh boy.
Okay, goodbye.
Oh my.
What's a PSW conference, Tony? Is that pumpkin spice latte? No, that's PSL. Never mind.
Jeez.
Here we go.
All across Wisconsin from Civic Media, this is Up North News Radio. Now, live from our Lake Minnesota studio, here's the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Brightlow.
Hail, hail, the gang's all here on this Monday morning, August 26, 2024. Nice to have you back on Up North News Radio, unabashedly Wisconsin, brought to you by Courier Newsroom and carried by our friends here on the Civic Media Radio Network, 706. On this Monday morning, August the 26th, coming up later this hour, some more Wisconsin voices from the Democratic National Convention, including Assembly Democratic leader Greta Neubauer, talking about some of the key assembly races that will be on the ballot this year. Of course, Kristen Lyerly is on one of the congressional ballots, and she joins us here, along with Selena Heller from Up North News, Greg Bach in Waukesha, and meteorologist Brittany Merlot. What is going to be a hot day and extremely humid. You could already feel that out there today, Brittany. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. It is going to be a gross, sizzling, sticky day, like Pat had mentioned. Temperatures are going to be soaring to the low to mid 90s across the state. The hottest spots, of course, will be southwest. And of course, the dew points, they're already in the low 70s. They're going to climb a little warmer, a little bit more muggy. And of course, paired with those temperatures, our heat index is going to be feeling anywhere from 100 degrees in areas with heat advisories to nearly 110 degrees into places who are under heat warnings right now. So yes, we have all of that throughout the state of Wisconsin. And then tonight, we've got strong to severe storms rolling through, where the severe storm, the Weather Prediction Center has put us in an enhanced risk for western areas of the state and a slight risk for the rest of the state. We're looking at a line of storms moving in overnight through early tomorrow morning, which could produce some 75 mile per hour wind gusts. So those are the risks that we're going through overnight with the arrival of this heat. So two bad things, if you ask me. I don't like the heat. I'm over it.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob says it already feels like Florida out there today, where he says, good morning from Tigerton, cloudy and muggy and 71. Had a super weekend Saturday, a lawn mowing job, and spent time at the Tigerton Lumberjack Days, from the corn roast Saturday night to the parade and chainsaw cutting contest. But I got to meet Kristen at the Tigerton Lumberjack Days parade. You went.
I went. Rob and I hung out. We made a short little, Rob gave a current weather status update. So I've got a short little video to share with you. It's adorable. It was just a delightful, Tigerton just felt so welcoming, and it was a fantastic day.
Wow. I can't believe you buried the lead on this. You've been here for 35 minutes already, and now we're finding out. You and Rob from Tigerton finally got to hang out at the parade.
And here's the proof.
Well, it was hot but cloudy and getting nice and cool.
Hi, Brittany. The breeze in Tigerton is amazing.
This is where I graduated 38 years ago. 38 years ago, I graduated from there.
That's right. All right. Hey, from Tigerton. Woo!
I saw an
Parade mode.
I saw an anti-Tammy Baldwin ad on TV yesterday, and it had a lady named Jackie B from Tigerton. I'm like, that's not right. I don't like that at all. We don't talk about Tigerton like that.
That's
No,
right.
Tigerton was delightful. We were standing by the high school, so Rob showed us his high school, and everybody in the crowd, this was the friendliest parade I've done this summer. No kidding. Everybody was so happy and so excited as we celebrated Lumberjack Days and just the incredible logging history in Tigerton. Fantastic day. So great to finally meet you, Rob.
Yay.
That's wonderful. Wow, that's great. Brittany is just speechless over here at this.
I'm jealous, right? Oh, she got to meet Rob. I love that.
That's wonderful. Brittany, thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. 7-10 right now. The Brewers fell in Oakland. Final score was 4-3. They had led 2-0 and then tried to make a comeback late into the game, but instead they finished their road trip with a 3-3 record, and now they are 10 games up in the National League Central Division. They are off today. A short 3-game homestand starting tomorrow against the San Francisco Giants, with games on stations on the Civic Media Radio Network that we'll tell you about tomorrow ahead of the game. If I'm a little discombobulated today, it's not just from all of the busyness of Chicago and getting back and getting settled in again. It is coming to terms with the double whammy of age. First, there was turning 60 last month, and yesterday, our first grandchild turning 18. I have an 18-year-old grandson now.
I remember when he was born.
I know.
Gosh.
How can that be? 18.
I remember when he was like in the belly in parades with you, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, no. Mason was born August 25th, and his first parade appearance was that next Labor Day weekend in the Jim Falls Parade. He was there in the stroller being pushed along.
In the stroller.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
That's weird. Like my niece, she turns 24 this year, and I'm like, oh, nope, thank you.
How does this sound? Great, Grandpa.
Yeah, let's not go there yet. Right? Okay.
Oh my.
We've already warned him about that. It's too soon for anything like that. Lane Riggs earned his first NASCAR National Series trophy on Sunday at the Milwaukee Mile, but couldn't carry the trophy because he fist pumped so hard while celebrating. He fist pumped his shoulder right out of the socket.
Oh my gosh.
The 22-year-old said, "I've done it before, but never in victory lane. It's all good now," he told the Journal Sentinel. "I'll numb the pain later tonight." Well, that's one way to go about having a good weekend.
I can say this because I'm one of them, man. Boys are dumb. Seriously.
Tell me about it.
My goodness.
Kristen, you got stories to share?
Yeah.
No,
yes, I can.
Welcome to another segment of Dumb Boy Stories.
Or just boys being boys. Grandson number 2 got a fresh set of stitches on his chin from a playground mishap recently. So I made a video for him showing them how I'd had stitches, here in my forehead, here on my elbow when I tripped up the stairs while carrying a glass, stitches on my chin. Boys are really good about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and the dirt.
Oh, the dirt.
Yeah.
We're really big on not staying clean, shall we put it that way? We mentioned last hour, former President Donald Trump is going to be in La Crosse on Thursday, and it's being billed as a town hall meeting, saying the former president will meet with voters in La Crosse, quote, to listen to their concerns and share his promising agenda to make America affordable again. The campaign said in a brief statement, the notorious swing state voters are eager to discuss kitchen table issues with President Trump, and his common sense solutions are exactly what will drive voters to the ballot box in droves this November. Kristen Lyerly has her hand up. Go ahead, Dr. Lyerly.
I heard a few things that I have questions about, specifically listening and policy.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you get to see either one of those things on Thursday, I mean, consider yourself like right up there in spotting a UFO, or a unicorn. But it's possible. It could happen. Yeah.
I mean, the phrase "common sense solutions" attached to his name. Come on, man. Come on.
Well, it's just solutions overall. I mean, I saw that Eric Hovde has a new commercial out where, for the first time, he tries to show a softer side. We're not getting the California banker with the Wild West mustache going, pew, pew, I'm a tough banker guy, and I'm going to, be all sassy and everything. Now it's like, when I was diagnosed with MS, I decided to fix Africa, or something along those lines. And I'm I'm not sure that it's really connecting. And Alicia up in Northeast Wisconsin, she's running for an assembly seat, and writes in that she talked to a voter this weekend who also said they didn't get the connection with Hovde's latest commercial. And I'm wondering if it has something to do with the way that John Oliver just roasted him. Not last night, but the Sunday before, where it said, you know what, maybe we need a reset on this campaign, And maybe that's what maybe this is the Trump reset,
Maybe it is. But, don't you think Wisconsinites desperately want connection and authenticity? I think you can get away with just creating a persona like J.D. Vance has done and trying to be something that people are telling you ought to be. But I think here in Wisconsin, people really want to know who you are and what you bring. And they want to trust you on that deep level that you can't just create. You have to actually be that person.
Exactly. And so it's one thing to show your softer side. It's another thing then to, like all of his other commercials, Eric Hovde's, just talk about the border. Trump talks about the border, and inflation. Yeah, but what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do that's pro-consumer, pro-worker, dare we even ask, pro-environment, at the same time? What are you going to do? And if it's just, I'm going to cut taxes and red tape, more and more people aren't buying that anymore. That's not nearly enough,
I think something you said in the last hour really applies to, at least with Tammy Baldwin, which is, with the Green Party and the third party stuff and only running during the presidential elections, that doesn't create a connection, which is the opposite of what Tammy Baldwin's been doing for decades now, which is going around to these areas, talking to people who wouldn't vote for her, or maybe not even like her, and connecting with them and building those relationships where it's like, all right, I don't like most Democrats, but I know that Tammy Baldwin has done stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's, you invest that time in connecting with the voters, the local leaders, all those people, and that pays off because we see that in the polling and we see that in her popularity that, yeah, she might not be my cup of tea because I'm not a Democrat, but she is getting stuff done and there's nothing you can say to that. And Eric Hovde is just throwing all the spaghetti at the wall and nothing's working. And also in all movies, the California banker is the one you want to get robbed by the bandits. So whatever.
Selena's going to be telling us more in our next segment about stories that she's working on for Up North News. And this time around, we're going to Black River Falls for some solar panels.
We are. Emery went with me. She got to see my old high school. I showed her my locker, so that was fun. And then we had
stuff her in there too.
No.
Okay,
we had
all
a
right.
conversation of how do you open lockers. so that was interesting.
So she also didn't do this thing with the lockers. My half sister went with my dad and stepmom to tour his old high school. This was back when she was, again, I don't know, maybe 4 years old, 3 years old, something like that. And they lost her. And they're looking all over the school, looking everywhere and saying, Trisha, where are you? Trisha. Finally, they hear laughing and they open up a locker and she's in there. And she's they're like, why didn't you tell us? Like, when you play hide and seek, you don't say where you are.
That's very true. That's true. It's number one. That's the number one.
Back with more with Selena after this. Have a great day, Kristen. You're up north. I had to get that story in. I didn't get a decent goodbye in with Kristen, and she's gone already. That's it. She's mad. Never coming back. That's it. Oh boy. All right. Which bite goes first here? Is it the savings or the rebate?
Rebate.
Okay, so not the order I gave them to you, Greg. Rebate.
That's fine. I have them named. Like I changed their names, so whichever one you want to play, just rebate or savings. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Good. Anything else you did work on or are working on for us to bring up?
Oh gosh, now you want me to think more.
It's what are you doing today? What are you doing in school today? What are you studying?
Oh gosh, yes, there were a few good things.
All right, well, you roll those around and drop them in if need be.
Okay.
Thursday question mark? Let me know, period.
What was that?
He was dictating a text. He's very high tech.
This is the time, it's the
Valley, title track to Grease, the soundtrack for the motion picture. The motion picture was the big summer blockbuster of 1978, and that was the number one song on this day back in 1978. Reminder, you can sign up for our newsletter at UpNorthNewsWI.com. Again, UpNorthNewsWI.com. And there we spoke ever so briefly in today's history lesson about it being National Dog Day. And Christina Laurie has certainly mentioned dogs there, including some of Wisconsin's best dog parks, but also all about getting some really good hot dogs at American Family Field. You see what she did there with the dogs. So an episode of the newsletter that has gone to the dogs, click subscribe in the banner on top of our homepage at UpNorthNewsWI.com. We'd love to have you there as a subscriber. All right, Selena Heller is back with us as well, working on stories for Up North News, headed back to her old stomping grounds in the BRF area to talk about the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. That and, let's see, there was also ARPA, the American Rescue Plan, and some of the other ways that the Biden administration and now the Biden-Harris administration has worked to increase energy efficiency, fight climate change, but also make the ways to do that more affordable. And it's that part, Selena, the affordability measure that Black River Falls and other school districts were wrestling with.
Right. So in Black River, I mean, the buildings and ground supervisor's name is Kent Weinman, and he's been wanting to do something like this, you know, talking about it for a lot of years, but it just never was attainable and it just never made sense. And so these projects were kind of put out to other entities before, homeowners and solar panels and things like that. But now they're open to nonprofits and schools and churches. And so they thought they would take advantage of it because now they can afford it and now it makes sense. And so he talked to me. We went up on the roof. And so I've never been on the roof of the high school. I mean, I spent 4 years there, but so it was my first time on the roof, of course. And so he talked about now they get a 30% tax credit, which made it something that they wanted to do.
All
and
right.
so this is Kent Weinman.
You look to lean towards on that solar, but then realize the price point is the payback wouldn't be for 20 years. We'd only get 5 years of free electric. When that 30% rebate came, that was the selling point right there. It's like, okay, these will be paid off in 12 years and we'll be running free.
And that's the important thing is to calculate that return on investment. I mean, again, it's very easy for somebody to say, oh, well, free money. Sure. Well, let's put up solar panels. But then if they never actually pay for themselves, they're not worth the investment. But he definitely, you get the impression from the story that you can read at UpNorthNewsWI.com. This is a guy that's run the numbers repeatedly to make sure that this works.
Oh, right. And they've done they're called a legacy a legacy project because they have done so many updating projects and looking at all of their energy things from the company that installed the solar panels, because they've done so many upgrades in the HVAC system and putting in LED lighting. And so he's really committed to kind of things like this and looking at projects. So what this is the energy offset is 22%. That's what they're hoping to get out of this. And then that's $15,000 a year in savings for them. And they got to focus on energy utility rebate for more than $13,000. And then the one-time Inflation Reduction Act tax credit of $87,000. So that's how it's a lot of numbers. But that now he talks about even more savings on top of that. And here's how he explains that.
You can save money in two different ways with the solar panels. The number that shows you saving $15,000 in savings in electrical savings, that's just part of the picture. Another part of the picture, it got explained to me, is, okay, you're saving $15,000 in cost, but that's also lowering our demand from the utility. And by lowering our demand from the utility, that can drop us into a lower rate. So we're saving $15,000 directly from our utility bill, but by dropping into a lower rate, we might be able to save another $10,000 to $15,000 just with our rate charge. So that's the hope, is maybe $25,000 in savings.
$25,000 in savings is nothing to sneeze at.
No, that's a big number.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, when you look at it that way, and then you see, then after this 12 years, the solar panels have a lifespan of 25. So in 12 years, they're paid for. So they have 13 years of all of this money coming back.
Yeah, and so it's not, of course, just solar panels. You've already talked about school buses, electric buses, other district-owned vehicles that could replace, older fossil fuel burning models. But then there's also the angle as well that school districts can partner with the neighboring community or other communities to provide benefits to residents as well. There are just so many available options out there where, again, that tax credit comes to a nonprofit like a school district basically in the form of a direct payment, which can help offset the cost of all these things. Now, interestingly enough, Selena, for all the talk about what was happening up on the roof, it's probably another project that he was working on at the time that gets more attention. Was it the new scoreboard? Is that where the football team plays?
Well, right. Yeah, they're getting, the day I was there, they were putting up a new scoreboard. And so he's like, okay, I'll meet you up on the roof in a little bit. And so he was over there, and then we were doing that. And then the funny thing is, he's like, that's a visible project. This project is not visible for people. So what we're doing is we want people to see this. And so we're putting a monitor in the foyer of the school. And so students can watch the energy usage and things like that, and see that, more energy is being received during the midday or whatever. So they can use it as a tool in their classroom, and other people can see the project that's on the roof. You can put the solar panels in a field or whatever, but you can't see them on the roof. But a football scoreboard, you can see a big project like that. But he said, we want people to see this and see what we're doing here.
I love that. I love the idea of the monitor in the lobby that you can look at and actually see the benefit. I think, frankly, more politicians ought to be doing that. If the Biden-Harris administration should have like these monitors or these billboards up, that show the actual savings, so that it's not just some kind of a concept, but that you see cold hard numbers, and that some teacher somewhere is going to turn that into like, okay, today's math problem is to go out to the lobby and here's what it said last week. And basically the kids are going to calculate the savings to the taxpayer, and look, that's
cloudy days versus
yes.
sunny days. And,
yes.
And here's the funny thing too, that, people were like, what about snow? How's that going to work? And they produce just enough that the snow will melt off, and then it also acts as a cleaning of the solar panels when the snow slides off. So
exactly,
snow is nice.
Yeah, I mean, for all the Trump makes all these jokes about, what if it's cloudy? It's like it still works, and even when it doesn't work, if there's battery backup or it just works at a lower level, like he said, and then you more than make up for it on some of those sunny days as well.
Yep.
Selena Heller, you can follow the story she's working on, UpNorthNewsWI.com or Up North News on your favorite social media posts for her videos. Thanks, Selena. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. When we come back, some more voices from the Democratic National Convention, folks that we talked to, including the Assembly Minority Leader Greta Neubauer, coming up next. You're Up North. All righty. All right. See you at 9:05.
Okay. See you then.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Again, Shirley Manson from Garbage, 58 years old today. Happy birthday to her at 7:34. This is Up North News Radio. I'm Pat Kreitlow, and we're coming off the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, which leads to a discussion of the political wins, which, again, like vibes and everything else, it's very ethereal. You don't know until the votes are actually cast and counted. But right now, the prevailing sentiment for Democrats seems to be that they have the wind at their backs. And now there's talk no longer of losing everything, but perhaps gaining everything, gaining back control of the House of Representatives, holding on to control of the Senate and the White House, and then potentially, maybe 1, 2, 3 Supreme Court seats that could change hands as well. But again, all of this is so early. And a lot of work has to be done over the next 10 weeks before anybody, casts ballots and we find out how this all comes down. But that's not to take away from what all took place in Chicago and to see a Democratic Party perhaps more unified than any time that I can remember. And it was a message that, even the most jaded and cynical among us can share. And that takes us to Scott Ross, who is a dear friend. He was the executive director of One Wisconsin Now for a long time. He now describes himself as a Sabbath gas bag. In other words, a Sunday morning political TV analyst. But he's also a very astute observer of Wisconsin politics. And so I talked to him about the energy level of the convention. But also he made sure to point out there wasn't just everything about looking ahead, but also of thanking President Biden for the decision that he made and the service that he gave to the country in leading up to that decision. So here's a little bit of my conversation with Scott Ross.
So much enthusiasm, and most importantly, like the political capstone to 50 years of Joe Biden's public service to the United States of America. It was wonderful. The fact that he put country first, as he always does, and created again a stark reminder of the difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Kamala Harris is for us, joy and happiness back in politics. Donald Trump's in it for himself.
What do you think of the change in narrative of whether Joe Biden is too old versus a narrative that is now back focused on public service, including what Joe Biden's was and what he did and what Kamala Harris wants to do?
Oh, exactly. I mean, again, it's about competence, and we restored competence to the White House when Joe Biden became president. He has worked his ass off, 16 million more jobs, 21 million more people have access to health care, $7 billion for Wisconsin alone in infrastructure, and 4.75 million people having their student loan, taken away after paying for years and years and years. So we restored competence, and like they're going to say until November 5th, we're not going back.
The theme from the Trump-Vance campaign, especially with visits to Kenosha and Howell, Michigan, appears to be around that old buzz phrase, law and order. What should people really know about the Trump-Vance campaign when they're using that kind of messaging?
Well, obviously, there was never a more corrupt administration in the history of United States presidents than Donald Trump's. And I think the crescendo of that is the 34 felony counts he has so far. Couple that with J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance received the largest campaign contribution in American history, $15 million, from German venture capitalist Peter Thiel, who wants to end democracy. He's bought and paid for. Trump's bought and paid for by Wall Street, and he's rewarded them. We got $2 trillion of unpaid tax cuts for rich people and corporations under Trump. He wants to extend that to be another $5 trillion that you, me, and everybody out there are going to pay for.
But there's all this messaging going to moderate or undecided swing voters, whatever you want to call them, and there is still the line that this is all a political persecution of Donald Trump. What message needs to go to those voters?
Well, first of all, the message to those, what I believe are suburban swing women, is exactly the message you heard over and over last night. The brave women who told their stories about having, babies that were going to die inside of them, that they had to take them to term because of the overturning of Roe versus Wade, about doctors who are afraid to perform, their knowledge because of 6 Republican Supreme Court justices, 3 of whom, under Trump, all 3 who are, literally illegitimate Supreme Court justices.
You had a bit of a slogan at the old one, Wisconsin Now, that used a word that so many Democrats and progressives shied away from. But you guys didn't mind using the L word. What was that tagline again?
We're a liberal group. We do liberal things.
A liberal group that does liberal things.
Classic liberalism is, classic conservatism is believe that the free market can solve everything. And liberalism is about whether, what government's there to solve problems that are inherent in a free market system. And that's what we should be doing, investing in people. And again, that's what Joe Biden did. He and Kamala Harris's, Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Act, all those things that put money into Wisconsin, that made sure that we not only saved America, but that we're thriving and prospering. And, inflation is down to, levels that were under George Bush. All 7 G7 countries have higher inflation than us, and people are like, "What's the difference between them and us?" We had Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's Inflation Reduction Act. That's the difference, and that's the difference when Democrats are in office.
But Republicans will continue to claim that it was all that spending that's what drove inflation. We hear that from Eric Hovde repeatedly. Is that something that is a narrative that is going to be tough to Democrats to counter with what you just said?
Listen, the only thing Eric Hovde knows about money is how to inherit it. That's the bottom line on it. The fact is that there was a lot of pent up spending that was going to happen because of the pandemic. So people were spending. Couple that with the fact that all of these industries that the American people helped bail out during COVID started gouging all of us. Record profits for oil companies, record profits for grocery stores and their corporate chains. I mean, again, these aren't small mom and pop operations. These are the biggest corporations on the planet, which also happen to own our media. So of course, ergo, they're going to be towing that Republican line, which is what they always do. Inflation is tough, but it's under control, and it's under control because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris made the right moves. If this was under Trump, it'd be pushing triple digits.
Again, it's about making those investments, as Scott Ross said, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, that's always what it is. It's about that. It's about long-term vision. You got to look at the long term. If you don't look at the long term, then you're never going to spend money. You're going to be like, we can't do this, but there's no possibility of doing this. Well, why not? Make those investments, and they might not work, but you're trying.
Yes. Let's hear next from Greta Neubauer. Greta Neubauer is the Assembly Democratic leader. Again, was in the delegation. We talked about the many VIPs who stopped by to talk to the delegation because of Wisconsin's difference as a swing state, which she hastens to add is not just about the presidential race, but how Wisconsin voters can make a difference at multiple levels down the ballot.
So Wisconsin has always been important, and Wisconsin continues to be incredibly important. I think people across the state understand that they could decide an important legislative race that helps determine the majority in the assembly, perhaps a congressional, Tammy Baldwin, and then, of course, Kamala Harris's race. We are incredibly lucky in Wisconsin to be able to participate in so many important elections, and we have a huge responsibility because these races are probably going to be very close.
Tell us about some of the key assembly races and how things seem, since the time that Kamala Harris became the presumptive nominee.
Absolutely. So, of course, we have a number of seats to flip this year, a couple that I will highlight that are right around that 50% mark. We've got Yiling Zhang running in Wausau. This is the 85th district. He is an incredible candidate. He has been in office since he was a teenager, and he would be our first Hmong representative. People in Wausau love Yi. They're so excited for him to represent them and have someone who really shares their values in the assembly. We've got Christy Welch running in Green Bay. She's here at the convention as the delegate. Christy comes from a manufacturing background. She is working so hard. She is knocking on a ton of doors, and we are really excited for her to represent areas of Brown County. And then who else will I mention? I'll mention Allison Page. Allison is running in Hudson. And she is a former nurse and a healthcare professional, school board member. Allison is just a fantastic candidate, and we are so excited to have these folks stepping up who are ready to govern, who want to be part of this historic moment in Wisconsin.
What is the message coming from Assembly Democratic candidates when it comes to economic issues, and affording, day-to-day life.
Absolutely. We know that many families in Wisconsin are having a difficult time making ends meet, and it is our job to do something about that. While Assembly Democrats tried to lower the cost of prescription drugs and childcare, while we looked at real solutions to housing challenges and wanted to pass a tax cut that was actually focused down the middle class, Republicans really refused to engage with us on those issues. They wanted to pass tax cuts that benefited the wealthiest Wisconsinites, and they just simply are not willing to get to work for the people of this state.
Last one will be about the constitutional amendments that went down, and you had Robin Voss and others essentially saying, well, we're going to double down and keep going that avenue. Is your message kind of like, good luck with that?
Yes, so Robin Voss has made clear that he would like to do constitutional amendments on two things. One is an abortion ban, and the second is enshrining voter ID into state law. Robin Voss will do everything he can to restrict the rights and freedoms of people of our state and to consolidate his own power. And we have seen that time and again, and he is saying that that's his plan moving forward. If we send him back with a majority in the assembly, we know exactly what he will do. It's time for us to move in a new direction. And the people of Wisconsin made really clear on primary day this August that they are tired of Republican power grabs and that they actually want people who are doing the work for the people of our state.
Greta Neubauer, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Again, Representative Greta Neubauer, the Assembly Democratic leader. So, okay, we've talked about the difference that an election makes at the national level with somebody like Joe Biden's record of service, at the state level from a leading state legislator, now at the local level. Presidential elections matter at the local level of government as well. Andrew Worthman was a delegate at the convention and a member of the Eau Claire City Council.
Part of what I'll first point out is the fact that, policies from the Biden administration are already directly helping in our local communities. And I think about ARPA funds and the way that we've been able to invest in affordable housing. I think about the funds that we've gotten for PFAS remediation through our state government, through our federal government. And I think about our addressing climate change and just sort of the challenge that we have there through the Inflation Reduction Act. We've seen a series of policies that 100% are the things that kind of help communities like Eau Claire move forward. And I expect in a Harris-Walz administration that they will double down on that idea of investing both in affordable housing, in our public schools, in making sure that our environment is clean, our air and water is clean, and sort of helping our community take that next step. Healthcare is another huge issue, and it, Pat, through all of the things that have happened in Western Wisconsin. Healthcare access is something that we've heard a lot about in this convention. So those are the real policies that help, people's lives, daily lives back in my community.
And to the extent that this isn't just a federal matter, but a state matter, with Governor Evers using the ARPA funds in a way that targeted things at the local level rather than, say, tax cuts or something like that. Can you tell me about the importance of having state leaders who are also looking out for the local levels of government?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. And it's from ARPA funds to even, the forestry grants that we've been getting to help us make sure that we're, removing old, dead and dying ash trees and planting new trees in our community. All of these things have real life consequences, and leadership in Madison that can make a difference for that. Absolutely sets the course for what we do in a local community.
So again, that's Andrew Worthman, a member of the Eau Claire City Council and a convention delegate, talking about the many ways that your vote makes a difference and why you shouldn't sit it out. So again, there's 10 weeks until the election, 10 weeks from tomorrow. Early voting, of course, will start sometime before that. To learn more about the election and voter registration, you can go to myvote.wi.gov. Again, myvote.wi.gov. All right. Apropos of nothing, but just because it's something I've started reading this weekend. I haven't finished it yet, but one of my birthday presents was the George Stephanopoulos book, The Situation Room, an actual history of the Situation Room, how it started during the Kennedy administration and how various presidents used it. Really enjoying it so far. So I just wanted to mention that and recommend it if you're looking for a good read. Civic Media News Director Terry Bell is next here up north. Mr. Bell, how are you?
Good morning.
You recovered?
Yeah, like we were saying last week when we bumped into each other, it's like I did a better job of pacing myself
Mm-hmm.
this time. So yeah, I was tired this weekend, but I wasn't a zombie like I was a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the summer we're not going to probably see again, where you have two conventions, right there in your backyard.
No, not in our backyard. My understanding is it's the company's plans to go to both conventions 4 years from now, no matter where they are. I think the Republicans are in
Good.
Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think the Democrats have picked a place yet.
Nope.
Or have they?
I don't think they have, but hey, I would go. Just
Yeah.
not with maybe not with the 6 a.m. show, but I would go.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
$7:50 now, 10 minutes before 8 o'clock on Up North News Radio. On this Monday morning, Civic Media News Director Terry Bell is also back from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. And Terry, good morning. I was saying that, it's not often that you get both political conventions basically in your backyard, one in Milwaukee, one in Chicago. It was a lot to do all at once. And I don't know that we'll see that kind of phenomenon around here again anytime soon, but it was a unique experience, an exhausting experience, but a unique experience just the same.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes, especially I'll just walk you through my workday briefly, but it started, working on newscasts first thing in the morning, and then that would be followed quickly by the delegate breakfasts. And the thing about the delegate breakfast is it's like shooting fish in a barrel in terms of opportunities to speak to people from Wisconsin who are there. They're all in the same room. I believe was the case with the Democrats as it was with the Republicans, where you have to attend the breakfast to get your daily credentials. I know that was the case with the Republicans. I don't know if the Democrats were distributed in quite that way, but it was a good carrot on the end of the stick to get you to come to the breakfast. And then speakers came, and so you got that. And that's all first thing in the morning. And then there's a bit of a lull. Not much happening from mid-morning until late afternoon, and then things ramp up again. And Civic Media had a live broadcast from 6 to 7 each night. So, it was some long days, but that's what I signed up for. Yeah.
You needed that lull though, because again, like you said, so many people to interview, and I've got a list in front of me of at least 16 interviews that I did, and I think we've put 5 of them on the radio so far. And there will be more to come, obviously, because a lot of people, again, you get to see them there and they have a lot to say. It's not just about the presidential race, but about the issues. But that presidential race is returning to Wisconsin this week, the first of Terry Bell's 3 things you need to know to start the week.
Yep, that's right. So we're not getting, Wisconsin isn't getting a break from the campaigning anytime soon. Donald Trump will be in La Crosse on Thursday, and what promises to be a town hall style meeting. I would imagine that would include some sort of input from people in the audience. I'm guessing those people will be pre-selected and their questions screened. But anyway, it's a chance for a little bit of a give and take, even though there will be stagecraft to it. And that's, from what I hear, the one topic you can expect to hear about will be energy prices. I'm guessing that's because that is an issue that polls well for him anyway, and then that he wants to hammer away at. So I would expect to hear about energy prices, among other things, in the weeks to come.
Well, that would get us to our second topic, and that is Trump allegedly shifting gears and campaign strategy. And I mean, look, already on the program today, I've cast doubts on the notion of this, change in strategy. Is there really going to be this give and take in La Crosse on Thursday? You've said in so many words that it may be more like they are pre-screened, because no campaign likes surprises. You want to know what you're getting into, but just the whole notion of Trump talking more about issues and policy rather than insults and trash talking America and the economy. I mean, this is becoming, Terry, to me, the infrastructure week. You know, Trump was always promising infrastructure week. Now we're always hearing the promise of a pivot, that he's suddenly going to be presidential. And while I have my doubts, it is, of course, again, from a national standpoint, one of the big talking points of the week.
I'll believe it when I see it. We've been to this movie before
Mm-hmm.
several times when we get to a moment where we're told, oh no, we're going to, you're going to see a different tone. He is who he is. I think some good insight into this might be a documentary from about 15, 20 years ago called Who Killed the USFL? And I think this came out shortly before Trump before the 2016 campaign, although I don't think it was released to coincide with it. But anyway, my point is there are interviews with Donald Trump from the early 1980s. And if there was ever any confusion that Trump was playing some sort of character now to appeal to certain voters in the 21st century, no, in the early 1980s, he exists exactly the same guy, 40 years ago as he is now.
I know, and I don't think nearly enough is said. I mean, you hear about some of the Trump business dealings of the past, Trump University and Trump Steaks and Trump Water and things like that. But the USFL story is actually quite fascinating, of Trump trying to get into the NFL and using the USFL in a way that basically, again, my editorializing here, lives up to that moniker, everything Trump touches dies. The man's business record is not stellar, shall we say. So yeah, you may want to read up on that. Third and final note is getting back to state news here and some of the more traditional things that we cover, and that would be things like, there will be a new state budget next year, and the universities of Wisconsin, or the UW system, has to put their numbers together and decide what they're going to ask for.
Yeah, so this story is from Thursday, so it's a few days old, but this is the first chance you and I have had to talk on the air about it. But the University of Wisconsin will be asking for a significant increase in its budget, $855 million. That's about, a 10%, 11% increase. And, it's seen as a way to keep from having to raise tuition. Right now, Wisconsin, compared to other public university systems around the country, is disproportionately reliant on tuition for its to balance its books, because it gets not much state aid. I think the 43rd in the country among the states for funding its public education, public four-year universities anyway. And so Jay Rothman put these numbers together. The Board of Regents approved them this week, and we'll see how that plays out when the budget process begins, February or so next year.
With a lot of changes in the legislature between retirements and the new maps. And so this is the first in what's going to be a lengthy process with a lot of unknowns. Terry Bell will keep us up to speed on it. Civic Media News Director. Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you, Pat. You too.
All right. And Mr. Bach, Matt and Air on Air, filling in. What you got today?
We got Angela Lang from Black Leaders Organizing for Communities as my guest host the entire day. So we're going to be talking about all sorts of cool things, the news. We're talking about what's going on in her world with what Block is doing. So we're very excited to have Angela on the show. We're on from 10 to noon. So tune in, call in, text, comment. We want to hear from you.
On your favorite Civic Media station or through the Civic Media app. Thank you, Greg. And thanks to all of you for being here as well. Thanks to our guests, Kristen Lyerly, Selena Heller. Up North News is the Wisconsin outlet for Courier, a pro-democracy news network building a more informed, engaged, and representative America. Follow us on social media. Sign up at upnorthnewswi.com. Have a great Monday. We'll see you back up here tomorrow morning, Up North.